Have you ever wondered why some people think they can push you around, disrespect you, and still expect you to stay? It's almost as if they believe your silence is endless, your patience unbreakable. But let me tell you something, here is a limit to everything. And when that limit is reached, it's not just a moment of frustration, it's a moment of transformation. This video is for you, the person who's been underestimated, overlooked, or taken for granted. Stay with me until the end, because you'll leave this video with something powerful, a renewed belief in yourself, and the courage to take control of your life. Now think about this. Why do people assume they can get away with nonsense? It's because they mistake your kindness for weakness. They think that just because you are quiet, you'll tolerate anything. But what they don't see is the strength it takes to hold back, to stay composed, to choose peace over conflict. The truth is, you are not weak. You've just been giving people chances to do better, to respect you, to treat you right. But the problem with giving too many chances is that people start taking them for granted. They begin to believe they can cross your boundaries without consequences. And here's the thing, tolerance is not the same as acceptance. You've been patient, yes. You've stayed calm, yes. But that doesn't mean you've accepted their nonsense. Deep down, you've always known your worth. You've always known here is a line that shouldn't be crossed. And when they crossed it, something shifted inside you. That shift, that moment when you realized enough is the most powerful thing you'll ever experience. It's the moment when you stop tolerating and start choosing. Choosing to put yourself first. Choosing to walk away from what no longer serves you. So, here is the question. What are you going to do with this realization? Will you let it pass, or will you let it fuel you? Will you let it remind you of your strength, your dignity, your power? You see, here is a strange thing about tolerance. The more you give, the more people expect. It's like they test your limits, little by little, to see just how much you'll put up with. And at first, you tell yourself it's no big deal. You convince yourself to keep the peace, to avoid confrontation, to be the bigger person. But deep down, a question lingers. How did it come to this? The answer lies in human psychology. People gravitate toward what they can control. They sense when someone is kind, empathetic, or willing to compromise, and they often mistake those traits for a lack of boundaries. It's not intentional all the time, but it happens. And when you allow it to continue, it creates a trap that keeps you stuck in their nonsense. Think about it. Every time you let someone disrespect you without speaking up, you are teaching them that it's okay. Every time you forgive without accountability, you are showing them that their actions have no real consequences. This isn't your fault. It's just how human behavior works. People adapt to the environment you create for them. But here is the harsh truth. The more you tolerate, the more they'll take. And the longer you stay in this cycle, the harder it becomes to break free. You start to question yourself. Am I being too sensitive? Am I overreacting? Maybe it's not a big deal. These doubts keep you stuck, but let me remind you, your feelings are valid. Your boundaries matter. Tolerance becomes dangerous when it starts to chip away at your self-respect. When you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. When you realize you've been shrinking yourself just to fit into someone else's version of what's acceptable. That's not living, that's surviving. And you were made for more than just surviving. The good news is, this cycle can be broken. The first step is recognizing that you deserve better. You deserve relationships, environments, and situations that uplift you, not ones that drain you. You deserve to be treated with respect, not as an option, but as a requirement. But here is the catch. No one is going to give you that respect unless you demand it. And demanding it doesn't mean yelling or fighting. It means quietly, firmly, and unapologetically standing up for yourself. It means saying no when something doesn't feel right. It means walking away when someone crosses a line. The power is in your hands. The moment you decide to stop tolerating nonsense, you are not just changing the way people treat you, you are changing the way you see yourself. And that, my friend, is the beginning of freedom. And then it happens. That moment of clarity, like a light switching on in a dark room. You see everything for what it truly is, the patterns, the manipulation, the excuses. It's like you've been walking through a fog, and suddenly the path ahead becomes clear. This is the moment of realization, and it changes everything. You realize that the problem wasn't just the nonsense you tolerated, it was the story you were telling yourself. You believed that staying quiet was the best way to keep peace. You believed that giving people the benefit of the doubt was always the right thing to do. You believed that if you just waited long enough, they would change. But here is the truth. The peace you were trying to protect was never real. It was a one-sided compromise where you sacrificed your happiness to avoid conflict. And no matter how much you gave, it was never enough to change someone who didn't want to change. That realization stings at first. It's hard to admit that you've been pouring your energy into people or situations that never deserved it. But it's also liberating, because now you see things clearly. You see that their behavior wasn't a reflection of your worth, it was a reflection of their own limitations. And here is where the power shifts. You stop asking, why are they doing this to me? Instead, you start asking, why am I allowing it? That single question flips the script. It puts the focus back on you, not in a way that blames you, but in a way that empowers you. Because if you are the one allowing it, then you are also the one who can stop it. This is where courage comes in. The courage to admit that enough is enough. The courage to set boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable. The courage to walk away, even when it feels like the hardest thing you've ever done. And let me tell you something about courage, it's contagious. Once you take that first step, once you say, I deserve better, you'll start to feel it grow. You'll notice a shift in the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak, in the way you look at the world. Because here is the truth. When you realize your worth, everything changes. You stop settling, you stop tolerating, you stop waiting for others to value you, because you've already decided to value yourself. This is the turning point. The moment you go from surviving to thriving, the moment you reclaim your power and start living life on your own terms. And trust me, the best is yet to come. Letting go. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But in reality, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Why? Because letting go feels like losing. It feels like giving up on the people you once believed in, the relationships you once cherished, and the hopes you once held so tightly. But here's the truth. Letting go is not losing. It's winning back your life. When you hold on to things that no longer serve you, you are carrying a weight that drags you down. It drains your energy, clouds your mind, and keeps you stuck in a place you've outgrown. And for what? For the illusion of control? For the fear of starting over? These are the lies we tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of change. But here is the thing about change. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also necessary. Growth never happens in comfort zones. And the moment you decide to let go of what's holding you back, you create space for something new, something better. Letting go is an act of self-respect. It's saying, I deserve peace. I deserve happiness. I deserve to be free from anything that doesn't align with who I am. And when you make that choice, you are not just walking away from the nonsense, you are walking toward a version of yourself that's stronger, wiser, and more confident. Think about it this way. Every time you let go of something toxic, you are giving yourself a gift. The gift of clarity, of freedom, of possibility. You are no longer tied to the expectations of others or the weight of their opinions. You are free to define your own path, to choose your own happiness, to live your life unapologetically. And let's not forget the ripple effect. When you let go, you are not just changing your life, you are inspiring others to do the same. People will see your strength and wonder, how did they do it? They'll see your courage and realize that they too have the power to break free. But here is the catch. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending the pain never happened. It means learning from it. It means using it as fuel to grow, to become better, to rise above. Your past doesn't define you, but it can refine you if you let it. So ask yourself, what are you still holding on to? Is it worth the wait? Or is it time to release it and step into the freedom you deserve? This is your moment. The moment you let go of the nonsense and embrace the life you were meant to live. And when you do, you'll realize something incredible. Letting go isn't the end. It's the beginning of something beautiful. And now, you've arrived at the most powerful part of your journey. The moment you rise above. The moment you realize that all the pain, all the setbacks, and all the nonsense you endured didn't break you, they built you. You are no longer defined by what you've been through. You are defined by how you overcame it. Rising above isn't about revenge or proving anyone wrong. It's not about looking back to show others what they lost. It's about you, your growth, your strength, your transformation. It's about reclaiming your power and using it to create a life that aligns with your values, your dreams, and your potential. Think about it. Everything you went through has prepared you for this moment. The challenges you faced, they taught you resilience. The people who underestimated you, they reminded you of your worth. The times you doubted yourself, they gave you the opportunity to dig deeper and find the strength you didn't know you had. And now here you are, stronger, wiser, and ready to thrive. You are no longer tied to the opinions or expectations of others. You've learned that you don't need anyone's permission to live your life fully. You've discovered that your worth isn't determined by how much you tolerate, but by how boldly you set boundaries and demand respect. This is where the real transformation happens. When you rise above, you stop reacting to the negativity around you and start focusing on the positivity within you. You stop chasing validation and start building a life that reflects your true self. And as you do, you'll notice something amazing. The world begins to shift. Opportunities start to appear. The right people begin to enter your life. Your energy changes, and with it, your reality changes too. Because when you rise above, you are no longer operating from a place of fear or scarcity. You are operating from a place of abundance and confidence. And let me tell you something about thriving. It's contagious. Your strength inspires others. Your courage becomes a beacon of hope. People will look at you and see what's possible when you refuse to settle, when you let go of what doesn't serve you, and when you choose to rise above the nonsense. So, what's next? The answer is simple. Whatever you want. This is your time. Your time to dream bigger, to aim higher, to live louder. Your time to show the world and yourself that you are unstoppable. Remember, rising above isn't a destination. It's a journey. A journey of self-discovery, growth, and transformation. And as you continue on this path, never forget, you have the power to create a life that's not just good, but extraordinary.